and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us today. It is Saturday, July the 23rd, 2022, and we are live here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. To hit all things real estate, mortgage related. It's a fun show, an upbeat show. We welcome your questions, your comments, your thoughts. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. 612-294-6949 by phone or text, or wherever you might be catching us on social media here today, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. We do appreciate you joining us. A lot to talk about. The show is hosted by Mike Overson, who is with Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering of the We team and the Minnesota Real Estate team with RE/MAX Advantage Plus, and I'm Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Good morning to everybody. Scott, good morning to you there, bud.
Yeah, good morning to you. Welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is a live and local show. We're here in Golden Valley every Saturday from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. We'll go live here on air in just a minute or so. We're going to talk everything about the real estate market, mortgage market. A lot of questions out there right now. Are we, looking at a housing crash? We're going to talk about that and what the numbers are actually saying in regards to that. And again, live show, local show. So go ahead and give us a call, 612-294-6949 to go live on air. You can also text us your question, or if you're following us on Facebook, just go ahead and type it in as we go, and we'll cover them as they come in.
Yeah, a lot to kind of talk about and unpack with some of the numbers that we're seeing, and it should be a great show. We're going to have Mike Overson as well with Luminate Home Loans joining us. Mike and his team, from a mortgage standpoint, doing a lot, helping buyers really of all types, FHA buyers, VA, conventional. You name it, Mike and his team are really doing an awesome job with that. But again, thanks for tuning in. If you're just picking up the show for a minute or two, or watching the whole hour, well, we do appreciate it, and a lot to talk about today. Again, 612-294-6949 or mnrealestateshow.com is where you can go to meet all of our different partners that we have that help our agents, help all the team members with their transactions, and most importantly, our clients. So we're going live on air right now. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Good morning. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for tuning in. July the 23rd, 2023, live here at Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130 every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering of the We team and the Minnesota Real Estate team with RE/MAX Advantage Plus. And my name is Ryan O'Neill with the Minnesota Real Estate team, RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Appreciate you joining us. Whether you're catching us on social media, any of the platforms, or on Twin Cities News Talk, we are happy you are here. And I've got a great show, a fun show today, a lot to talk about with the Minnesota real estate market. Scott, good morning to you there, friend. How's the day starting out?
It is going well. It's going to be a fun day, fun night for everybody in Minneapolis with the Aquatennial going on.
Yeah.
So hopefully people get out and enjoy that. We're going to talk, like Ryan said, everything real estate related, mortgage related as it relates to the Twin City market. Specifically about are we headed for a housing crash? A lot of stuff in the media around that. There's been a little bit of a market pushback. It's having people freak out. So we're going to talk about those numbers and how that is not what we're in store for. When Mike Overson gets in the studio, we're going to go ahead and go through the mortgage update. If you've not checked us out, mnrealestateshow.com is how you can check out everything about the team and how it works and how we can help you or your family with your real estate needs. Again, very interactive show. So 612-294-6949 is how you can get in touch with us. You can go live on air, or you can text us your question to that number.
Yeah, let's dive into some of the numbers from a real estate standpoint to see what we're experiencing here in the Twin Cities. New listings, so new properties, new homes for sale that came on the market this past week, down pretty significantly, 18% less new homes came on the market. There were 1,481 new homes. Pending sales, accepted purchase agreements also down pretty significantly, down 19% year over year. So almost a fifth less accepted purchase agreements. And then the inventory of homes for sale in the Twin Cities continues to grow. Now we are up to 8,123. And lastly, the median sales price is at it's increased 8.6% to 380,000. And Scott, new listings again down, still a little bit over that 8,000 mark. As we look at those numbers, this is really what kind of we're feeling in the market. All of the agents, fellow agents, and brokers at different companies as well. What we're feeling is a bit of a slowdown, a bit of a pullback, a bit of a deep breath. It's been super busy, and now we're taking a little breath. It seems like what folks are feeling, Scott.
Yeah, they are, and it's nothing to get overly concerned about. We predicted this at the beginning of the year, that with interest rates, at that time at 2.8%. Now interest rates, Mike's here. We're going to go through those numbers here in a little bit, but I'm assuming we're somewhere in the high fives, low sixes. So that if that was going to occur, there was going to be a pushback. We've increased by 8%, but that's really front loaded. We're closer to about 18% on things that are under 500,000, and so that kind of meat and potato price point was getting pushed, and so you take that combination of people's buying power just went down by 50%. Housing prices are increasing by, whatever number you want to believe, 10, 12, 15, 18%. And the market's pushed back, and happened last year at this time, happened last year a little bit later. It was more like the end of July, beginning of August. This time it was the end of June, beginning of July, and it'll settle in. And so everybody just needs to take a breath. But we are seeing price reductions. We're seeing agents call for feedback on the listings.
Yeah.
Whenever that kind of activity starts, that means that things are sitting, because then you've got agents that are freaking out. You've got sellers that are freaking out.
Yeah, I had a good question come in. Again, you're welcome to join us. Questions either on social media. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for your comments. Or again, 612-294-6949 by phone or text. This question came in from Terry. Terry just said he is a fellow agent trying to set up a showing on a listing, and the showing continually gets denied by the seller. What gives? He says, showing, so property's active. You can't get access, Scott. Not a good thing.
Yeah, it's and what gives is the human nature aspect of real estate. Unfortunately, you have a seller; it's their house, and if it's inconvenient for them, I've had them through the years where you try to explain to them, look, in order to sell your house, we need to let people be able to see it, and unfortunately, you're going to be a little bit inconvenienced during the time we have it on the market. Lots of different personalities out there. Some people are fine with that, and you run into the occasional one that is absolutely not. No, I'm not going to be inconvenienced. That time doesn't work, and I'm not going to let you through.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, especially now. You would think, again, the showing could happen. You can get in the home to do that. But of course, again, the seller has to approve that showing. Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans. Always a pleasure. You're doing a fantastic job, you and your team. First segment, we always like to hit the mortgage update too. What's cooking there, bud?
Well, you guys are talking about the market here and how we don't need to freak out because we don't.
No.
It's normalizing. You got to remember that we're actually getting back to normal. The last couple of years that was just not normal on the rate side of things, mortgage side of things, and the real estate side of things. I mean, have you guys ever in your careers had it to where the norm was you don't get a home inspection?
No.
That never happened before, right? And
or
that
a
became
well and septic inspection.
Inspection.
Seen a lot of those not getting well and septic inspections.
Or guaranteeing the appraisal
Appraisal
amount, or giving up your earnest money if anything occurs.
yeah,
I mean, so I understand your point. That's not normal.
right.
Yeah.
You know, and you've been doing it for like 85 years, Scott.
I know.
He's been in it a long time and he's
Yeah.
never seen that before in his career. So, I mean, you got to remember that's not normal. We're going back to normal. It's normalizing, and that's what should happen. That's what we need to happen, to be honest with you. So, interest rate wise, had a little pullback
they
this
came
week.
down, right?
Yeah, it came down this week. So if I just provide some examples from yesterday, client buying a 685 house, putting 15% down, they were at 5.625 on the third year with no points. If they paid 1 point, they're at 5.125.
Wow.
On a 30-year fixed. I had a jumbo deal. It was a 985 purchase price. They did 15% down. They were at 4.625
Well,
on a 30-year. If they did 20% down, they were at 4.5, and that was no points on a 30-year fixed. You know, so it's up and it's down. Last week we were 5.875 to 6. This week we're at 5.625 with no points. That type of deal. So there is some fluctuations. You know, it's when the economy is the way it is, and when you have inflation and you have recession and you have a couple of these different moving parts going on, you're going to see a little up and down. My prediction, though, I think we're going to be in this range for a while. I think we're going to be 5.5 to 6. I think it's going to level out. It's going to be there for a few months, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Mike, it's interesting. They did mention online, looking at some reports saying that the 30-year fixed rate falling from 5.7 to 5.3. This was ending the week of July the 7th. That was the biggest 1 week decline since 2008. So it seems like rates way up, down. You know, I mean, a lot of activity.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So we see that a lot. It's not near as bad as COVID. When COVID first got here, I mean, you're talking, I called one guy in the morning at 9 and said, your rate is 4.625. I called him at 5 o'clock that day and I said, your rate is 3.625. He's like, what? I'm like, trust me, it's weird. Rates literally were swinging a full percent in one day back when COVID happened, because the financial markets didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, they're reacting, they're trying to figure out, and stuff was all over the board. Obviously, it's not that case now, but we are still seeing some up and down because, again, you know, we've got some inflation. We got a recession coming up here probably, and, you know, that's going to cause a few fluctuations.
Yeah, Kimmy commented and said, are you guys seeing a lot of foreclosures now on the MLS? A lot of foreclosures, Scott.
no, absolutely. I don't know exactly what the number was, but I would say that it's probably less than 2% of the market. And again, that might be off a little bit on that number, but I think that would be pretty close.
And we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't. I mean,
We shouldn't see them.
I think people have equity in their home now. They've had appreciation at a all-time high rate over the last 3 years. So everybody's sitting well in their house. And what caused the foreclosure boom last time was an increase in inventory, people getting loans that shouldn't get loans, and nobody had any money in. And they had no money in their house. So when the market dropped by 50% in value, people walked away in the droves, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, if your options now are going to foreclosure or sell it and put 50 grand in your pocket,
Yeah,
well, you're going to sell and put 50 grand in your pocket. Back in the day, the option was go into a foreclosure or write a check for 50 grand
That's
to
right.
get out of it. Obviously, a different story there.
Yeah, we're at the first break at the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., talking all things real estate, mortgage related. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts throughout the show and throughout the week as well. Before the break, guys, I did want to hit this listing. David Meyer. David just does a wonderful job. Scott, this one is in Floodwood, Minnesota, and it is listed for $550,000. It's 102 Highway 2E, 102 Highway 2E. And how about this? It is a bar and restaurant, guys. So David says, welcome to the Savannah Portage Bar, Restaurant, and Event Center. It's an awesome staple in the Floodwood business community, and it'd be a great investment for anyone looking to be their own boss. Profitable business with well-established clientele. It's a 50-seat bar area. It's got a 24 by 20 outdoor deck with seats, at seats 24, a 72-seat dining area, and a second bar venue in the lower level. Clients love the up north feel. It's centrally located between Duluth, Grand Rapids, Hibbing, and McGregor. And David just says, with the extra space, it's an excellent meeting place for business gatherings, weddings, celebrations of life, birthdays, retirement parties. He says, don't miss this awesome opportunity. And that's again in Floodwood, 550,000, 102 Highway 2E. What do you think about that?
That it was actually my grandpa Larry, my dad. That was his dream, was to own his own bar restaurant.
Fun.
Yeah. It would be fun, especially if you're a retired person and kind of your second swing at life. It'd be nice.
I was actually looking at pictures of that one before. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, what would it cost to rebuild that thing?
Yeah.
Way more than what the listing is, for sure. I mean, it's super nice.
Huh.
Right. Yeah. We're at the break here. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us online. Hope your weekend's going well. We're happy you're here. Good morning. Good morning, Billy. Thanks for your comment. Guys, the sky is not falling. Are you seeing any investors out there, Mike? You got any? Sorry.
No, it's weird that you said that, because I was just going to tell the story. I was off air last week because I was up. Actually, took my ex-wife and kids and a big group of us, about 20 of us, for Jen's 50th birthday.
Yeah.
And we went to Jordan. My oldest daughter bought an Airbnb in Arizona, and that's where we stayed. And so I was just thinking about investors. That is a whole new scale. I mean, they are booked out as much as they can possibly be booked out, even in the summer. And
right.
It was 120 degrees in the shade. It was brutally hot.
For the Airbnb.
It was so hot. And they're still booked out, swimming pool and whatever else. And so even though there's the flips are kind of gone because there's no value in it.
Yeah.
And the value of, or the cost of housing has gone up. So a lot of long-term investors are not buying because the housing is a little bit too expensive. But an Airbnb, when you're renting them out on a weekly basis, she gets $2,500 a week on a $500,000 house.
Mike, are you seeing how is that financing wise? How do you finance an Airbnb?
Just finance like a regular investment property.
Okay.
Yep.
How much down?
There's nothing different. I mean, you can do as little as 15% down as long as it's a single unit. So townhouse, condo, or single family. Okay. And you got to have a 740 or higher credit score. If your credit score is under 740, then you got to go to 20% down.
Okay. Interesting. This one, thanks for the comment. It says, hi, Ryan. I'm going to be putting my primary home as a rental. Is there an insurance where if the tenant doesn't pay it, insurance can cover the loss of rent? That's a good question. Brad Sanford is an awesome partner with our team show. He's with Farmers Insurance. Mike, initial thoughts on that? Insurance, if the tenant doesn't pay, that they'll cover the loss of rent.
That's a good one. I know that if the property gets damaged to where it's not rentable, the insurance will then pay you the rent because you physically or literally can't rent it out because of the condition of the property. I know it covers that, but is there insurance to cover a tenant not paying? I don't think so.
There's not. I was unclear on that, though. I wonder if this person had listened when Brad was on. Yeah. Because Brad had made the comment that there is insurance to cover loss of rent.
Sure.
But he didn't really specify what it was, and I think people might have heard if your tenant quit paying rent, that insurance would cover it, which of course isn't the case.
Yeah. Well, and from my just experience as a landlord as well, I don't believe there is any option for that. And what we're happy to do as well, Cruz, again, our team, the Minnesota real estate team, will actually help you rent the property. So again, if you've never done that process before, we certainly would be happy to do that. And we're going back live on air here right now. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Had a good social media question about insurance on the your rental property, if it covers the tenant not paying the rent or the loss of rent. And we kind of came to the conclusion or just talking that it doesn't necessarily cover the non-payment of the rent or the lack of paying, but if there's damage to the home, there's something that takes place. That's where, for example, Brad Sanford and his team with Farmers Insurance can come in with that insurance based upon the damage. But we mentioned just real briefly to Cruz here, who commented on YouTube, He just said that he's going to be putting his primary home as a rental. And Scott, that's something that, again, we've done over the years. That's kind of how I started in the business, is helping people rent properties.
Yeah.
Helping people rent it. They get it rented. It's going, it's feeling good. And then they maybe call you 2 months later and say, hey, let's buy another one, Ryan.
That's right. Well, for people that maybe don't know the backstory, that is how when you got in the business, you actually worked on my team at that time, and you would do ads in the Star Tribune, Pioneer Press, and you would get groups of investors together. And so you primarily cut your teeth in investment real estate. And then, of course, it morphed into what it is today. But I mean, I remember those ads, and you would actually get people that would respond to it. You do a little seminar and end up working with them.
Yeah, it's good. Good stuff indeed, Cruz. We hope that helps a little bit. Thanks for the comment. We did have a comment here as well, guys, from Brad Sanford. He said, what's going to have the biggest effect on the housing market? Rates, inflation, or the supply chain of housing? Rates, inflation, or the supply chain of housing? Mike, you go first.
I don't think it's rates.
No.
Take COVID out. This is kind of normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Our rates are normal, going back to normal. What's still not normal is
you're not normal.
I'm not normal. My wife tells me that on a daily basis.
You're not normal, Mike.
But what's not back is a lot of supply chain stuff. That's still not back to normal. I think garage doors and windows and just weird stuff like that is like months down the road. I think appliances still are months out, so I would say right now, as far as new construction goes, I think that's probably more affecting it because it's still taking a long time to get certain materials.
Yeah, I would. I agree with you. Taking new construction out, I would say that it's inflation, and more importantly, the combination of inflation and appreciation. Since I've been doing this about 20, whatever, it's been a long time. Have I seen an appreciation scale so aggressive and inflation on top of it? So what that means is that people are getting squeezed financially. For the affordability index is going down because your house has gone up 32% in the last 2 years, and now all of a sudden the inflation, everything else is costing you more money. That has to squeeze it a little bit. I think that's my opinion.
Yeah, my thought on that, Brad, is I think the biggest effect is going to be just the supply of housing. Because there still is such a strong demand for buying homes. Even with the increase in rates, there is still such a limited supply of housing in the Twin Cities. Active homes for sale, 8,000 homes. Back in, again, 2006-07, there were 36,000 homes for sale on the market. There's just not a lot out there, and there's still people buying. Now, Scott, to your point, there are price reductions. There's not all multiple offers, but that's good. That's really good because, again, in certain areas and price ranges, there are multiple offers because it's priced correctly and there's nothing else out there. People don't want to pay $2,800 for rent.
That's right.
I don't know.
No, it's exactly right. In fact, we were going to talk about this as the topic today, because I think a lot of these questions have to do with the fear around, are we headed for a housing crash, a housing market crash? And there's a really good thing on Facebook that Dave Ramsey, who's a national speaker and does a lot in speaking on real estate. And he went through just the basic reason why we're not going to be in a housing crash. And I'm going to butcher some of the numbers here, but you can look it up yourself or Google it, just Dave Ramsey, real estate market. And what he talked about is, we have a basic supply and demand issue. We have major demand. We have no supply. So that in itself is going to prevent there from being a crash. Completely the opposite from 2007, where we had no demand and we had huge amounts of inventory. The other thing that was interesting to me is the millennials, the 33 to 38-year-old people, that there are 15 million or 10 million, again, look it up, more millennials right now than there was back in 2007. That's our home buyers. So again, major demand. There's also 10 million more households that are home buying households than there was back in 2007. So again, he's got a whole list of them, but I thought it was really well done, and it explains kind of what we've been saying on the show. Don't freak out here. This is normal. Don't freak out. It's getting back to normal, and you know, it's like anything else with human nature. It came on so quick. Everybody's got to take a breath because 100 days ago we had interest rates at 2.8%, and there were 40 offers on every house. Mike,
The real question is, did you have a Quest cookie this morning?
You know what? I think there's a supply chain issue with the cookies because it's probably been 4 days since I've had one because there's none at our house.
Are you being serious?
I'm being serious. Yes. And I don't know if it's Jen dropping the ball and ordering them or if I'm waiting for them to come in.
But supply
But that's what freaks me out right there. That's what's got me nervous is the Quest cookie supply
Yes,
chain.
absolutely. That's national. To everybody.
it is amazing. Again, living in the United States, just the convenience that we've gotten used to of having anything we need when we go to the store. And now the last year or two, it is a little bit, and again, I'm guilty of it as well. It's like the world's ending if I don't have that one food item that I've always ordered. You know what I mean? You think about that, and it's an interesting time because there's just so much of that happening all across the board.
Oh, I saw posting on Facebook, which I thought was excellent. It was the old rotary phone that we all had hanging on our wall in the kitchen with the long cord that you pull in your bedroom to talk on it. And the caption was, when this phone rang, I actually didn't know who was calling me, and it didn't die.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it is true. It's like, you think about it, back in the day, you'd have to answer. And I remember my dad would be like, "This is the Wilmering residence. How can I help you?" And then they would say, "Well, this is Joe. Is your dad there or whatever?" Now you just know who's calling you. I never even pieced that together.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting stuff. Mike Overson, you and your team again, refis down how much this year?
I mean, they're almost the only refis that are happening right now is a divorce situation where you got to get the loan in one of the name or the other,
Okay.
or people doing cash out. There is some reasons doing cash out. For instance, I'm working with a client right now. They want to buy a second home in Wisconsin. They got enough equity in their primary residence to do a cash out. Well, interest rates on a second home versus interest rates in your primary residence are quite a bit different.
Okay.
It's actually cheaper and better for them to do a cash out on their primary house and pull the cash out and go buy that cabin in Wisconsin with cash versus putting the financing on that cabin. So it makes sense in their particular situation to do a cash out. They're at 3.5% now on their rate, but they're going to be going up to 5.75 or 5.875. But the alternative is you're going to have 6.5 to 6.75 on the cabin over here.
Yeah, that's right.
So which one is better? So it's situations like that you still see some refinances, but I mean they're few and far between.
Yeah, again, we're at already the halfway point here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. A lot to talk about. I did want to talk a little bit more as well. We had a text that came in asking if we could expand a little bit on the Airbnb market, how to buy them, how to rent them, communities, what they're seeing, cities allowing them, not allowing them. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that after the break here as well. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in. Hope your weekend's going well. Lot to talk about here again. FHA, VA, Mike, you get any FHA or VAs this week?
Got a ton of them.
You did?
This week, let's see, we got one VA, one FHA. So one of each accepted this week. I did personally. I think Mark on my team had one FHA, and I think Hudson had another FHA. So
crazy.
I mean, now's the time. I mean, it's so weird because if you look at the first 6 months of this year, good luck getting an FHA or VA offer accepted. It wasn't happening. And to be honest with you, you've almost go back over the last 2 years. Very tough to get that type of offer accepted. Nowadays, I actually had one FHA with the Minnesota Housing Down Payment Assistance got accepted. And we moved it forward just yesterday.
Wow.
So that's the first time I've actually had that combo happen in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Down payment assistance?
Yeah.
Attached to the offer.
Yeah.
I haven't done one of those, but it's been 10 years.
Yeah. So you see that opening up now. Granted, that property is in St. Cloud, right? So a little bit of different market in St. Cloud versus here, but just to have one get accepted anywhere is like, holy cow, here we go. So
Question again. Samantha texted, said, do you have any tips, guys, for moving if I have pets? Moving if you have pets.
throw them in
That's a unique one.
throw them in
A crate.
Oh, that's terrible.
I was gonna say, put them in a boarding thing for a couple weeks and let them hang out with some friends, and do your move and stuff.
Oh, I
Go
see
through
what she's saying. When you're showing your house, what do you do with your pets?
Oh,
Sure.
Okay,
Well,
I thought she was talking about how do you physically move your pet. I'm like, you throw them in a crate, or I don't know, put them on a leash.
that's terrible.
But oh yeah, I mean, yeah, there's Mike's correct. I mean, especially in a really active market where you're not going to have 6 showings over 3 months. Then you just take the dog, you put it in the car, you leave. But when you've got 15, 20 showings in 3 or 4 days,
Sure.
where you're out of the house all the time, it's better just to board them for a week. Or if you've got a relative that they can go stay with, or
Right. Your Uncle Frank.
and Uncle Frank.
Yeah, yeah.
But moving, that is an interesting question. We've never had that. Moving, though, if you think about it, right now in the market, what's happening is there's a lot of rent backs where sellers, trying to find their new home, they're renting back for a day, a week, 2 weeks, or early move-in agreements where the buyers are moving in a little bit early for different reasons. I've never seen a market over the last couple of years where there's been more rent backs and early move-ins than ever. Normally it's like you close, you move into the property, they move out of the property, and life goes on. That's different.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I actually I've had 3 this year with rentbacks, and I don't think I've had 3 rentbacks in
85 years.
Yeah, 50, 85 years.
Yeah.
It just never happened. But yeah, I mean, you've got buyers willing to do anything just so they're under contract. They've got something, and then you've got sellers that need to find something. And right now, the buyers aren't as nervous because there's not as much pressure. So they will be able to find something.
Right.
6 months ago, it was, well, great. We sign this thing, give them their option to, find a home of their choice, and they'll write 40 offers and not get a house.
Mike, from a rent back situation, when does the buyer have to be in the house after they purchased it? Don't they have to owner occupy by a certain date?
Depends on their loan. So if they did an owner occupied loan, then they have to then occupy the property within 60 days of closing. If they bought it as a investment property, then there's no time frame.
And how is that verified, or how do people know?
They're not verifying it.
I mean,
it's like anything else.
No, but I mean that.
I mean, in reality, if you're going to be doing a rent back situation and you sign the paperwork saying I intend to occupy the property in 60 days, and it's 90 days before you get in there, no one looks into it. No one cares as long as the payment's made.
Here we go. We're going back live on air. Yes. Who is that, Mike? Yeah, are you an Iron Maiden fan? They do. Iron Maiden. I'd like to take a drive down memory lane with a little Iron Maiden. And by the way, thank you, Brad Sanford, for commenting for earlier question. Yes, he said, loss of rents is a coverage. For our platinum landlord policy, it is generally 10% of the dwelling coverage. However, I would ask my client what they receive for monthly rents and then multiply that by 12. Remember, this coverage kicks in when the building is damaged and not fit to live in.
Okay, yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
It's damaged. Don't be damaged, Mike.
Well, if your renter stops paying, just make sure that they destroy the place too.
Yeah, kick in a door.
Yeah.
Hey, Airbnbs. We have had a lot of questions, comments. Airbnbs. Should I buy one? What's going on with them? There's too many of them. They're disrupting my neighborhood. There's a lot of strong opinions about Airbnbs. Financing wise, Mike, you said they're similar. The one thing I would say is they're similar than buying your own buying an investment property. But the big thing is the city. What I would say. The city holds the cards on, do they allow them? Will they allow them in the future? Are there some that are grandfathered in? It's an interesting time with Airbnbs. A lot of people diving into that market, guys. Thoughts?
Well, they're very profitable. When you've got a long-term rental where you're getting, $3,000 a month, which is a pretty big rent payment, versus $2,500 a week, for example, Jordan's Airbnb in Arizona. We had 3 Airbnbs on the Whitefish chain, and they were $4,500 to $6,500 a week, plus $750 for the pontoon, and they were booked out as soon as they were booked out immediately as soon as we put them on Airbnb. So they can be very profitable.
Mike's going to start to Airbnb his house in Burnsville.
Yep.
He's on the lake right there.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he's got like a lower level. Or you could Airbnb that other building that you have.
I could.
You could just say, look, it's
I don't think the wife would go for that.
Yeah, no.
She
lake
wouldn't go for
living.
that. I'd do it, but yeah, she wouldn't go for that. But Airbnb is, I did a loan for a guy that had, he bought a condo back in the day as his primary residence. He moved out and bought a single family. And this is in the middle of Boston. So I guess I don't see Boston as like a vacation spot, if you will, but he had this 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo right in the middle of downtown Boston. And he Airbnb'd it, and he would gross $86,000 a year on it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So the negatives of it are probably the management of tenants, the in and out. So figuring out how you're going to manage that, potential damage, I suppose, like any tenant, different sites. If you do use like an Airbnb or something similar, what do they take as a percentage of it? And then again, cities, does the city allow it?
That's the biggest thing is you need to verify that, because if they don't, then all of a sudden you've got a property that you just paid what you would pay for an Airbnb and you can't utilize it as an Airbnb. The ones that we had on the Whitefish chain, it was 700 feet of lakeshore. That was just the homes that we had. So there weren't neighbors to complain or even know that you were doing it. So we kind of walked that line a little bit, but that is the biggest thing. I'll tell you what the headaches were for us was finding a legitimate cleaning service because it was up in Brainerd. So we ended up a buddy of mine and another guy that worked for us that had them. We would literally drive up on Saturdays at 4 a.m. to get the sheets off, clean it, because we couldn't find anybody consistent. So the wives weren't real thrilled about it.
You do a really good job. I can see you. Scott really, What do you think, Mike?
He's got that card that you see in hotels. It's got the, it's got all the supplies. He just kind of rolls that through.
That was it.
That's a good question. It's interesting to think about. Yeah, we have helped as a team. There's a real estate team. We have helped clients buy Airbnbs from around the country. Different people that like the Twin Cities market for a variety of reasons. Our strong employment base here. Again, the Twin Cities is always the top 10 of all these lists of where do I want to move, where do I want to live. So I've had, again, some college friends and different clients from around the country, whether they're Googling our team or investment property or whatever. They're coming, finding our team, finding out, hey, you guys do a lot in space. We want to buy an Airbnb property. We want to buy an investment property. And, the other thing, too, is with the stock, Adam Hartung commented, with the stock market and the investment world, how poorly it's done. A lot of people are looking towards real estate. They talked about farms, people buying farms, all other types of investment property instead of the stock market, guys.
That's right. Well, and Mike, the point of the Airbnb in Boston, where you would think it's not really a vacation, setting. Why would you buy an Airbnb? There's a lot of reasons why people do Airbnbs. Like I was, again, thinking of Jordan's. She had a woman that did it for 2 months because the hospital that her mom was in, so it was, great. Cause it was in the beginning of summer. It's, 115 degrees there. It's not necessarily where you want to go. But there's a lot of reasons why people utilize Airbnbs. It is still cheaper to do that than it would be to do a hotel for $250 a night. Yeah.
I mean, we got an Airbnb in Nashville for Jen's 40th birthday coming up. So we're going out there the first week of August. Same thing. We got 4 couples coming out there. So I was looking at hotels versus an Airbnb, and it's like, it was about half the cost.
Right.
to do an Airbnb that all of us can fit in for a week versus doing 4 single hotel rooms.
You wonder.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, we went and did Airbnbs, our family, for years up on the Whitefish chain after we had sold our places. And it's $17,000 a month for the places that we would do, or I'm sorry, a week.
Oh my God.
And so you think, well, that's a lot. Well, it's not when you've got 20 something people. It's $700 a person, which is a lot cheaper.
If we have any listeners that are in the hotel world or the hotel industry, or you've owned those kind of properties, maybe I'd be interested to hear what that industry is thinking or feeling with all of these essential regular folks like us going out and buying a little mini hotel or mini place, and renting it out. But Mike's point is an interesting one. Indeed, with that. Before the break, guys, I did want to touch on John Love. So John, agent on the Minnesota real estate team, he has a beautiful new listing down in New Prague, in my hometown. This is listed for, it is listed for 1.1 million. And you've got to check out the pictures online of the 745 Silver Maple Drive in New Prague, Mike. It is a coming soon listing. But John says it's nestled in Silver Maple Bay Estates. It's a 4-bed, 5-bath custom home, custom designed executive rambler. Extremely high quality construction, refinement with approximately 5,300 feet, finished square feet, walnut wood floors. Invite you to the open design. Scott has a gourmet kitchen, adjoining dining room. Owner's suite has a private bath with a walk-in tile shower, custom design walk-in closet. There's 2 additional half baths on the main level. Basement has 3 bedrooms, a full Jack and Jill bathroom, additional half bath, family room, bar area, the place for gatherings, heated garage, features commercial grade finished flooring, full underground garage is perfect for storage or workshop, whole house electric generator for ease of mind during a power outage. And it is surrounded by Cedar Lake Farms Regional Park with miles of hiking trails right out of your back door. 1.1 million. It was built by a dear friend of mine, a gentleman named Paul Hunzel. Paul Hunzel Homes, a great builder, great family, and he was my dad's favorite hockey player growing up. Paul, I told my wife Kathy, she saw this listing too and said, "Wow, is that beautiful?" Paul was always the guy that he's a short person, but he had the most fight. So we're playing bantams. And Paul was like 5'3", 5'3", short. And he'd be there checking the guys that are like 6'2", and he's always like, "Ryan, you need to fight in the spirit of that Paul Hunzel." I mean, he's out there just like checking these guys, and they're like, "Who is this little kid?"
Yeah, that's funny.
But anyway, Paul's now he's a builder. He's done just a wonderful job.
And he's not 5'3"
anymore. Actually,
he's probably listening. He's like, "Dude, call me 5'3" one more time."
Paul, so we need a little fight in spirit. Where does that take you in life? That's the deep thought for you there at the halfway point. But we'll be back after the break. Yeah, this house is a beautiful one. Check that out, 745 Silver Maple. A very nice one. A very just a beautiful home itself. We did have another question coming in. Tim asking about my tax assessment. How can I dispute the value on that, Scott?
Oh God, I'm getting so many calls on this because it's gone. Depending on where you've gone, it's anywhere from 32% to 40% increase over the last 2 years. And so the short answer is you go in before May 30th to the county, and you plead your case that the value is not in relation to your value. Your taxes are too high. I'll tell you this, that you got to remember, if you go back over the last 10, 15 years, there was a time where your home was worth way more than your tax assessed value was. So it's not a dollar for dollar,
Sure,
minute by minute exact science. So there's a scale like that. So it would have to be extraordinarily, you'd have to be paying taxes extraordinarily over your value. If it's $100,000 off, they're not going to adjust it.
yeah.
Because 10 years ago it was the opposite way. So it's a floating scale.
pretty tough fight to go in and argue that the
Yeah.
house isn't worth whatever when everyone knows what our market's like.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah, it is.
It'd be tough.
It's frustrating though. I mean, it's frustrating to see if people, because we've heard too from a lot of clients, they're saying, "Hey, property taxes going up, continually going up," and especially in this kind of time period, inflationary period. I was talking to a friend this week who's got 4 kids, and she guess what she spends a week on groceries.
Oh, I can tell you,
Yeah.
because we had 5, and our grocery bill was $2,200 a month. So what is that?
Like
$550 a week.
She spends $500 a week on groceries.
yeah.
And she said last year it was $350.
Yeah.
So think about that. I mean, for any families out there, that's real money. That's affecting people. The other thing, obviously, there was just with fuel costs, and I know Steve Groen was on talking about businesses and how they're having to put that onto the customer. How will that affect people buying houses?
I mean, I think back. I was just talking with Jen about this. If we were in this situation back when we had 5 kids, so we had 5 kids, 6 cars on the road. So I had fuel costs, insurance. The cost of groceries, back then was $2,200. It would probably be $3,000 now.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what I would have done.
Oh,
I mean, So when you talk about families being, hurt, I mean, it's real. It's like I was putting gas in 6 cars. I mean, right now I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah, Mike, this is another tough one. Another question that came in, just talking about crime and how is crime affecting various neighborhoods, property values, and the desire for people to purchase. We're going back live on air. We can talk about that one live on air. Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130. Hey, welcome back, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Laura Antolik with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. It's got a nice one, Scott, in Burnsville. 13521 Colfax Avenue South in Burnsville is a brand new listing at 320.99, 5-bed, 3-bath home. It's got a big fenced-in backyard, mature trees and gardens, kitchen with fresh appliances, lower level family room with a wood-burning fireplace, new carpet. Actually going to be an open house today, Saturday from 10 to noon. So Laura is there right now. And tomorrow, Sunday from 1 to 3. Very nice looking home. Again, check that out. 13521 Colfax Avenue South in Burnsville. It is a brand new listing on the market at a great price range. And then, guys, last one to touch on today here, Ashley and Jared Hicker have one in Farmington for $349,000. 1104 Spruce Street in Farmington. 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. And Ashley mentions, welcome to this beautiful 3-level split home. It backs up to 2 ponds and walking paths. It's got new stainless steel appliances, 2 brand new bathrooms, beautiful tile work, vanity and plumbing, new water heater, new roof in 2021, Scott, new paint throughout, so much more. And the sellers are offering a $2,000 carpet allowance. It's close to downtown shopping, restaurants, and more. Check that one out again. A very nice listing. Ashley and Jared Hicker, 1104 Spruce Street in Farmington for $349,000. Guys, the question was about crime that came in. How is crime affecting neighborhoods, cities, home values, our market? Thoughts?
Honestly, it's not really affecting me very much. Again, with the limited amount of housing and the price range that typically is going to be in a neighborhood where there could be some higher level crime, there's still so much demand that I have not really seen a big pushback on it.
Yeah, Mike, any thoughts? Have you heard on your end?
I really haven't. It really hasn't hit the radar, to be honest with that. I haven't had one client come up and say, yeah, there's too much crime in that area or something like that. I just don't hear it.
Yeah, people, the way you can find that again is obviously you can call your local police department to get that information. Trulia is a website that oftentimes will show crime as well. It's interesting. I would agree in some sense with what Scott said. I have heard, though, just from talking to some agents, certain neighborhoods where people are starting to avoid them because of some of the recent things happening. And so that's hard. I mean, if you live in that kind of neighborhood, that's one thing. How do you control that? But I mean, I think long term, it can definitely affect your value, especially in certain areas where things are continuing to happen. Young families, kids, parents are like, look, I'm not moving there. I do not want to be in that area. And, again, you can't blame them, but I think it's something to be aware of. Your agent should help you as well to have that discussion, just so you know, hey, where am I buying?
Well, yeah, and just understand this though: your agent cannot deter you from a neighborhood. They can point you in the right direction to get crime statistics and information if that's what you choose. But they personally can't say, "Hey, you need to avoid this neighborhood." That's a no-no in the real estate industry.
Right. They can't say it. You're right.
Steering.
Yeah.
You can't steer your client either in or away from a certain area.
Yep. Yeah. And it is a factor. It's one of the many factors, of course, along with schools. The big thing now is schools. How's the school district? Why? I don't know. Any thoughts on that to share for buyers, sellers, guys?
Well, I mean, it's a huge deal. I mean, I won't name out the school districts, but there's an area that I do a lot of business in where you've got, one city will be, I'll just say one city will be in Lakeville schools, the other same city, but it will not be in Lakeville schools. And there's a difference of between 7 to 12%, depending on the price range that you're in. So it makes a huge difference. And you'll have clients that are very specific that I want to be in, Wayzata school district. I can be in Maple Grove, I can be in Plymouth, I can be in Eden Prairie, whatever, but I want to be in Wayzata school district.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, way bigger search criteria. I think, isn't that number 2?
Yeah.
Isn't school district almost like number 2 search criteria for home buyers? And it's obviously very important then because it's number 2.
Yeah. I have to give a nice shout out. Again, I know I mentioned John Love earlier. John on our team is a longtime appraiser, and John was helping a fellow agent on the team with an appraisal that came in low. So we are seeing some low appraisals, and the team member, that the agent I was talking to, said, well, look, can't these agents or can't these appraisers keep up on their schooling? Because there was one neighbor one that appraised for like 270, and their appraisal came in at 255, and they're like identical homes. And so the point was, what am I missing as the homeowner? How can I go back to my client and say, oh, really sorry, your place is 255, even though the neighbors got an appraisal for 270. And I think John Love, what John did a really nice job of is just saying there's the human element of the home appraisal process. And it's that person's opinion, right? So in other words, you may not agree with it and they have a certain set of rules to follow. But in this case, there's different things you can do to dispute it. But I don't know, Mike, any thoughts to add about home appraisals?
Yeah, I got a perfect example. Did a guy built a brand new house, not right on Minnetonka, across the street from Minnetonka. So he had lake access, but he wasn't right on the lake. New construction house, ended up closing on his end loan in January of 2021. 2.95 was his cost, right? So big, beautiful house, nice lot, all that. 295 was the cost. First appraisal came in at 2.5. Second appraisal came in at 3.05.
So $500,000.
$500,000, $550,000 different. And so then I'm like, well, which one do we use? And other end's like, well, I have to use the lower two. I'm like, but they're so far off. They're more than 20% off. Like I said, let's get a third one. Third one will be a tiebreaker. So they're like, okay, well, to get a third one. So now this guy's paid for his third appraisal. Third one came in at 3.15. So one appraiser said 2.5, and another one said 3.15. There's $650,000 different on a house. That's the example of it's an opinion. It's that person's opinion. Obviously, there's stats and there's calculations that happen, but there still is opinion on there. It's not an exact science.
I sold a house in Rosemount, just a typical $650,000 two-story. There was 8 of them that sold in the neighborhood. They were all the same builder. It is a place called Evermore in Rosemount. $200,000 low appraisal. I mean, I was like, I'm like, that's $450,000. There's not even a house in this neighborhood for $450,000, and they would not order a new appraisal. This buyer had to literally go to a completely different lender and start over because the guy would not. I don't even think he was even in the house. I mean, I can't imagine how you could be off $200,000 on a standard two-story.
That almost makes me think that appraiser went to like 4 or 5 houses that day and got them crossed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
something.
Had something was goofy there. That I know exactly what we're talking about. There's nothing in there that would be even close to 450.
No, just know that again with the home buying and selling process, in many cases there is the home appraisal because the buyer is getting a loan. So they're going to someone like Mike, and they're the lender is sending out the appraiser to protect the lender on what is the value worth. Now, if it's a cash offer, there is not an appraisal done in most cases. There's no need to, but the home appraisal is part of the process. One of the many reasons you need an expert agent to help navigate you through that transaction itself. I can't stress it enough. I know we've talked a lot about it, but having someone who understands the real estate transaction is critical because these types of things can happen. And then you're like, as the home seller, well, what do I do now? I'm trying to know what happens.
Well, and I just laugh. You know, when you get into the $3 million price range, you're looking at the buyer and you're looking at the down payment, and because you're not that good, you know, if you're not that good to say it's worth 2.7 or to say it's worth $3 million. So if the purchase agreement's at $3 million, the guy's putting 40% down, you know, it should appraise because it's not a 1,000-footprint Rambler in Apple Valley, you know, where it's kind of math. There's so many moving parts. It's like, you know, we did all these tear downs in Minneapolis, and we'd have a 3,500 square foot exact same floor plan. One would be 850, another would be $1,350,000 because of the finish level.
Yeah, Mike. Best way for people to connect with you and your awesome team, Mike Overson at Luminate Home Loans.
So they can go to the radio show website, mnrealestateshow.com, and then we are the lender partner there. So look on the left-hand side under lenders, we'll be there. Otherwise, my direct website is applywithmike.com. You can reach me there too.
Well done, hardest working man in mortgage, Mr. Mike Overson. Scott Wolmering, a great job there, buddy.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in, everybody on Facebook that spent the whole hour. Thanks a lot.
And tonight is the Aquatennial, the fireworks. Hope everybody has some fun. Big thanks to Mike Dubbs from K102 coming in to help us every weekend. Thank you, Mike. We're grateful for you and your efforts. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. mnrealestateshow.com. We're here to help you buy, sell, invest in real estate. The Minnesota real estate team is here to help you. Take care. Thanks for watching on Facebook Live. A lot of great comments coming in as well. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Mike and Scott, good job, guys.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll be back next Saturday.